So I wanted to ask you, you touched on political issues here in the United States, and I was wondering if the separation of church and state that exists in our government is a form of spiritual warfare, because ideally it implies that our government can operate without the Spirit of God.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Certainly, the separation of church and state as we know it today was not what was originally intended. Of course, the concept does not come up in our Constitution or specifically in the Bill of Rights. It's originally from a letter that Thomas Jefferson had written to Baptists in I think, Danbury, Connecticut, who were asking him about how much reach the government was going to have into the church. So the separation of church and state, or as ultimately constituted in the Bill of Rights, is that the government will not establish a state religion, so you won't have the state church like you have the Church of England, but that it's going to be freedom for others. In other words, the issue was to keep the government out of the church, not the church out of the government. So we definitely make a political mistake, a spiritual mistake, when as believers we basically append ourselves to one political party, so that we identify more strongly as Republicans or Democrats than we do as followers of Jesus. And even with discussions about presidential elections and all this, we have to say, hey, Jesus is our Savior. He gets our heart, our soul, our mind, our body, our strength. The president gets our vote. So we're not going to divide over that. We can have our different views, but we're not going to divide over that. Our devotion is to Jesus. That being said, the idea of government operating without God or without prayer would have been very foreign to most of our founders. And the idea that, say, you can't have prayer in school would have been very strange, or you can't read the Bible in school, or that you can't have a prayer group with the students after classes. These things would have been very foreign through much of our history. In my book, Saving a Sick America, I go right through the 1800s where the Bible was a primary textbook used in our schools. So the way you have the wedge now, and everyone shouts separation of church and state, was not what was originally intended, and certainly is a negative for the church today. Not that we're supposed to take over the government and run it, not that we're supposed to impose Christianity on the nation, but the freedom that we're supposed to have, it's been largely taken from us.